Funding for Indiana Weekend is provided by Fine Line Construction and Open Door Health Services.
This is Indiana Weekend. Some of the most interesting people and places from around our region. These are the stories you won't always see on the regular news, voices you won't always hear elsewhere. I'm John Strauss. This is a kind of news magazine show with stories just a bit off the beaten path. Today, Indiana innovation, the Midwestern ingenuity that fueled more than a century of manufacturing success, is back, now in a new form. The state getting a reputation once again as a fertile ground for entrepreneurs. Also, a young entrepreneur in a field not usually associated with startups. A Ball State student about to graduate, honing a business plan that has him singing the blues. But first, the remaking of Indiana. Hubs of technology and talent now fueling hope for a new economy. In some of the latest news, Indianapolis was ranked the 4th best city for women in technology, just behind Washington, D.C., Kansas City, and Baltimore. And Governing Magazine did a story last month suggesting that Indianapolis is becoming regarded as the Silicon Valley of the Midwest for adding thousands of new tech jobs. On a smaller scale, communities across the state are trying to encourage their own entrepreneurs, sometimes by helping sponsor co-working spaces where they can set up shop at low cost and even collaborate. Launch Fishers is a co-working space in that city that started 3 years ago in a library basement and has grown into a new space with 50,000 square feet and 600 members. Shelby Bowen is vice president of an Indianapolis construction management company and says he loves the concept.
So co-working kind of evolved from people that were in their garages, their basements, their Starbucks, their cars, and really it's kind of hard to get to the next level of entrepreneurship. And so first of all, there's the physical space. So is it easy to work from a Starbucks or try to find a professional environment? The second part to that, I think, is collaborating. It's great to meet other entrepreneurs and have ideas and try to work together. So I think it evolved from that, creating a physical place for people to try to start and grow business, and then the environment of other entrepreneurs.
Marion is his hometown, so Bowen, using what he knew about Launch Fishers, helped start a co-working space there. It's the Refinery Business Center.
It's a business place and it is a professional place, but at the same time, the refinery is like a place that is filling needs that are specific to Grant County and to Marion community, which is such a cool thing to be a part of.
Jason Lohmiller runs an internet security firm.
So I left Indiana Wesleyan, my business partner and I started this business in 2016 in April. And we were doing it out of our house, and it was okay. It was an okay thing to do, but we really needed some place where we could get away, we could have meetings, we could strategize, and the refinery was here for us.
There's a lot of talk these days about startups, but Lohmiller says they're not for everybody.
One of the things that makes an entrepreneur is the willingness to take risks, the willingness to try stuff that otherwise they probably would be averse to. It's not for everyone. It's not for those who are unwilling to test the waters or try things that are uncomfortable. It's much more comfortable to work for a company, and collect a paycheck than it is to start a company whose main goal is for impact.
Dawn Cooper Bowles started a cleaning company and was working out of her car when she discovered the refinery. She says going it alone takes some nerve.
Not everybody is successful, and I tried several different, kind of small businesses before, and I burned out, or they weren't profitable like I thought they would be. But I just say to keep doing it, just keep at it, because you'll find your niche or what you're really good at if you have that, that heart and that desire. You have to have a passion about it. If you're just in it to make money, you'll probably end up giving up because the money's not going to be there a lot of times, But I would say to those people, the money comes when you persevere, the money does come in, you know, to pay the bills and things like that. So I would tell, you know, that person to go for it.
Jim Goodpaster started a business consulting to other companies. He likes the refinery's location and that his customers can now find him easily.
There's a place over here where you can have a workshop if you wanted to. There's Wi-Fi that's secured. It's not like a hotspot like, you know, a restaurant or something.
The refinery's been open for 2 years. Whether because of that or not, Goodpaster says he's optimistic about where Marion is heading.
I think things are starting to turn around. I'm happy to see a lot of the business growth that's happened in the last year, year and a half. Probably 3 or 4 years ago, you go down to the post office to get your mail and people wouldn't even talk. You know, now people say, "Hi, how you doing?" It's different.
In the meantime, there's the Marion of right now, a city of shuttered factories, unemployment among the highest in this part of the state. At WBAT, the town's local talk station, the morning team of program director Tim George and Ed Breen, former editor of the Marion Chronicle-Tribune, is plugged into a local mood that sometimes swings between resignation about what's happened and hope for what could happen.
Ed has had connections and still does with so many people through the years. He can usually localize or at least regionalize something that otherwise is just a national story.
Another crossroads of public comment is the 9th Street Cafe, a popular local diner run by Paula Harner.
The community is changing from all the big factories, you know. I mean, I hate it when I hear young people saying, "I want to make $30 an hour." Well, you're going to have to find another country.
If anybody knows about entrepreneurship, it's the owner of a restaurant who started from scratch 15 years ago.
Well, I spent 2 weeks with an empty building and the front door propped open so that I could ask people why this place didn't make it. It ran a year and a half, closed up. It ran 4 years, it closed up. Well, it's people. It's how you run a place. It's how you treat people. It's how you cook food. I went around to other restaurants. The Ice House was really popular, and I went to Steve and I said, "Tell me what I need to do right." And he said, "Good, clean food at the right price, and they have to be full when they leave. If they leave and they need to stop by McDonald's and get something to eat, then you're not filling their needs."
Breen is one of the regulars.
Well, I came to Marion in 1966, and it was a nice, solid, Midwestern industrial city. We were certainly not suburban Indianapolis. We did not consider ourselves to be a bedroom town for anybody. We were self-sustaining. We were above 30,000 population, had a county population of about 85,000. We had RCA, we had General Tire, we had Dana, we had Foster Forbes, we had Active Products, on and on and on. Those are all gone.
So are many of the people, a quarter of the population, gone since 1970.
We have lost jobs. There were the critical points. Gas City area lost the glass factories. Marion lost RCA. It lost Foster Forbes. It lost Dana. It's a long list of lost jobs. And the jobs that have been recruited to replace those jobs are essentially warehousing jobs, distribution centers that pay about a third of what the industrial jobs pay. So all of this over a 30 or 40 year period has brought us to a point where we are a community with a lot of serious problems in terms of housing, abandoned housing, availability of jobs, skilled labor force to take what jobs are there. All the pieces of a larger mosaic.
There are bright spots. GM has announced plans for a $91 million expansion, and other locally owned companies like the Atlas Foundry are on solid footing. Jim Gartland is the company's chairman. When he started here as a laborer, every mold was made by hand. Like we've heard elsewhere, automation has changed everything since he started in 1974.
We have just as many people here today as we did then, but we pour twice as much iron. Back then we would, if we averaged 55 tons a day, we we were happy. But today, I hate to see the tonnage under 110 tons a day. So we're producing twice as much, same amount of people.
Foundries like his have been hit hard by things like foreign competition. There used to be 5,000 foundries in the country, compared with only about 1,400 now. In the Great Recession, Gartland says, 4 of the largest went out of business. This may be heavy industry, but when it comes to surviving, Gartland talks like the other entrepreneurs we met.
In this business, sometimes if you're privately owned like we are, you have to maybe take a little less than you think you should, but that's just part of the nature of it, that you being around for tomorrow.
It's hard to imagine any community being successful without being able to attract younger residents. Marion has the advantages of having Indiana Wesleyan University right in town. The community will be more successful if it can convince graduates like Jess Holland and her fellow millennials to stay here.
Millennials are like, we need things to do. We need cool bars and concerts and cool people and art and da-da-da-da. And Marion doesn't have a lot of those things. But the people who are here are so committed to being here that you can't help but form a community. I live in an area where I see the same people. Like, my life is a very small place, like it's a very small circle, which to some may sound boring, but I get to interact with the same people and like form really deep relationships. And I think that one of the things that millennials really are looking for is this like buzzword of authenticity. And you get that when you're interacting with people. Like, you can't help but get that if you're staying in the same place and being invested in that place.
Around here, they call Indiana Wesleyan IWU, and though many students want to leave after graduation, some are ready to stay.
The IWU students who do stay are deeply passionate about staying in Marion. They're not typically the people who stay aren't the ones who are like, well, I have nowhere else to go, because they will end up going home. They'll go back to their families. The people who stay in Marion from Indiana Wesleyan care so deeply about staying in Marion because they can see the potential. They know that, and I don't know if it's like an entrepreneurial mindset or just a compassion mindset or what is going on, but the people who stay they end up being really invested, and they get jobs often not involved with Indiana Wesleyan at all. They get jobs in the school systems, they get jobs in local businesses, or like the things that make Marion Marion. The people who stay from Indiana Wesleyan are so attracted to those things. So it's not like, oh, I'll stay in Marion to work at Walmart. Every community has a Walmart. They're not staying for that, but they stay for the small businesses that are in Marion, or the locally run businesses. IWU students and people who stay from Indiana Wesleyan see those things and they're like, hey, that's cool.
One Indiana Wesleyan student who stayed is Darren Campbell, a born entrepreneur who made money in college by installing his own full-size video game in his dorm and starting a pizza delivery service on campus. He now runs Tree of Life bookstores, which includes a large college textbook business, a religious bookstore, and coffee shop.
My wife and I actually started Tree of Life in 1997. Right out of college. I graduated in 95 from Indiana Wesleyan with a business and marketing degree. We went to her parents and we said, we'd like to open a bookstore with a coffee shop. And her parents said, you know what, we've been praying about something like that too. They were farmers in the community. And we borrowed $35,000 and opened a little 1,200 square foot shop, called it Tree of Life. It was a bookstore and coffee shop. And then some students from Taylor and IWU started to frequent the shop. And some of those students, one of them in particular, bought a book that he needed for class, and his dad was the CFO at Indiana Wesleyan. And he went to his dad and he said, the college bookstore is selling this book for $39.99, and I bought it from Darren and Nancy for $14.99. And of course the bookstore was outsourced to a third-party company, and their contract was up. And so the college invited us to bid on our local alma mater's bookstore. And we decided that we would discount textbooks, what students were forced to buy, and then we would increase the soft goods and add a coffee shop, things that students would volunteer to buy, and we'd make our margins up there.
Tree of Life operates from this former Kmart store, which was abandoned when he renovated the building. The place has the look of one of those internet startups, with a video arcade, even a secret door in the boss's office.
We bought this facility in 2012, renovated it in 2013. Wanted to create kind of a corporate campus that was fun. Many of our employees are in their 20s, and so this is the first job they've had outside of college. And so we want work to be fun. We value relationships. Since our primary market are college students, having a younger employee set helps us to stay relevant, know what the trends are and what's happening. We're really tech driven, and so it's important to have a lot of younger people that understand what the trends are in technology.
Part of the challenge for businesses like this is persuading people, including recent graduates, to come or stay in Marion.
They want to do something significant. And so they feel like something significant is in the mountains or on the West Coast. And really, I think about Detroit and the resurgence of what's happened in Detroit. And I think cities like Marion, Indiana, Muncie, Indiana, Kokomo, we're just smaller versions of Detroit, primarily a manufacturing base. The trends have changed, not as many jobs as there was. The economies have not been as strong as they were in the past, but lots of opportunity, really inexpensive real estate, a highly educated workforce from our local colleges and universities. It's a good ambition to come to a local city, a smaller city like Marion, buy a home, fix it up, get connected to a local church, local family, serve at a local place, and really make your life here.
Choosing to open a business somewhere, not to mention make a life somewhere, involves risk-taking. Campbell took a chance on his building.
Some people told me it was a fool's errand. In fact, when we initially went to buy the building, I had several phone calls from business leaders telling me that I was crazy. And honestly, I probably was crazy. But I just saw the potential of what this building could be and what story we could tell. I brought my employees into the building, and there was water leaking, and there was mold, and the horror on the looks of some of the people's faces, like, what are you going to do? But it's kind of a metaphor for what we're trying to do, and really a metaphor for what I believe God's done in my life, where He's taken something that was old and decaying and turning it into something new. And what an incredible story. If we could pull it off in a local city, then you could do it anywhere.
It's graduation season. The hunt for good grades is over. The hunt for good jobs still underway for many former students. But not for Zach Day, who lives near the Fairmount home of teen legend James Dean. Zach, graduating with a music studies major, is a blues guitarist, and unlike many young musicians, he's ready to make a living at it. That's no surprise to Joni Howard, who owns a trendy Fairmount restaurant that sometimes features live music.
Zach is local. He's a year younger than my youngest son, so that's how I met him. Probably have known him maybe 6 years. He's played here at our restaurant probably 5 or 6 times. He's just a very genuine, humble, nice kid. He is somebody who is going to go somewhere, I believe, and hoping that he'll come back here and play once he does.
Plenty of young people play the guitar, but Zach sometimes surprises people with what he can do.
I know that when he came in the restaurant the first couple times, my bartender is a guitar player, and he didn't realize that Zach was as good as he was until he heard him, and he was just like, wow, I just can't believe it. And it just thrown back because he just doesn't flaunt it. He's very quiet about his talent.
In a place this size, talent tends to get noticed pretty quickly.
Fairmount is a small town of about 2,500 people. Our most famous people have been James Dean and Jim Davis of Garfield. There's a draw to come back to Fairmount, and every year in September, the last September or the last full weekend of the month, we have a festival. We draw in tens of thousands of people. And Zach comes here and plays for us on Saturday night. We close our restaurant and have a parking lot party, and we had about 1,500 people last year, which was only our second year, but it was just a lot of fun. And it's nice to have someone local to bring local people in and the people that travel to come to the festival. But it's been nice to have local people, and it kind of has been a gathering of class reunions of sort. A lot of people come, and people that you haven't seen recently. So it's a lot of fun.
By his senior year of college, Zach had gone far beyond Fairmount, playing at places like the Slippery Noodle in downtown Indy. And the Hoosier Park Horse Track in Anderson.
Well, I'm rolling, I tumble, cry the whole night through. Well, I'm rolling, I tumble,
few months before graduation, he sounded like so many other seniors, thrilled but a little nervous.
It's very exciting, and I can't wait to graduate. Like, it's 4 years that really go by pretty quick. It's kind of nerve-wracking because now I have to realize that I have to make enough income to be able to support myself and keep doing what I want to do and keep growing it as a business, And so I've realized I don't want a day job. That's not for me. I've already realized that. I did construction and roofing over the summer, and music's much more my thing.
He's majored in jazz and plays plenty of rock, but his heart is in the blues, thanks to a great player who's inspired many others.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, that sound, that guitar sound he had, and the way he played, and the emotion that he conveyed through playing, I thought was unbelievable, and I'd never heard anything like it because I'd listened to a lot of classic rock guitarists, Randy Rhoads, Peter Frampton, people like that, and I just never quite connected to the music the way I did with the blues.
We met up with Zach at Grains and Grill, the restaurant where he's been playing since he was a teenager. Naturally, he brought a guitar. At times, you can almost hear the rural roots of the blues, the potent mixture of poverty and hope behind the music. There's an old truism that this music comes from hard life experience. As Ringo Starr and George Harrison put it, gotta pay your dues if you want to sing the blues. Zach is young, but he figures he still qualifies.
I think all musicians have this self-doubt thing that there's a chance that the music's not going to get heard by people, and there's a chance that it's not going to be any more than what it is. And so I write about that a lot, like just the mindset of musicians and the way that we sometimes suppress ourselves to what we could be. Relationships, past relationships, I mean, it might be good for 3 songs on the way up and 30 on the way down.
He's been influenced by most of the great guitarists, but also has a fascination with the history of the blues, including the famous crossroads near Clarksdale, Mississippi. That's become something of a shrine to the blues and was the subject of the great hit by Eric Clapton and Cream in 1968. Zach has been there.
The time my dad and I went down to the crossroads was still like one of the most life-changing and musical-changing experiences I've had to this day. So we went down, I think we were on a business trip, and on the way back through, we were going to swing by and go to 4961 there at the crossroads where Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil. And so we went to Morgan Freeman's Blues Club that night called Ground Zero. And I got up and I played, and I was going to play 1 or 2 songs with Josh Razorblade Stewart was his name, and he's a local down there. And the 3rd set rolled around, and I went up to play 1 song, and I stayed up there for about an hour, 40 minutes an hour, and I had a guitar duel with a guy named Terry Big T Williams, which is just this massive man who plays down there, and he's been playing down there for years, and he's just a big guy, and we got face to face, and we were playing off, and it was a great time, And then afterwards, it was about 2 o'clock by the time we got done. And Clarksdale is really a pretty rough area overall, a lot of high crime rate. And so I did decide I wanted to go out and play under the crossroads, And so I went out there and I was playing my guitar. And so the legend goes that you go and you play, and the devil comes and he wants you to sell your soul to him for fame and fortune. And so I'm out there playing at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and a car pulls up, and it just sits there. And me being young, I was scared to death,
Nothing happened, but that's just close enough to be the legend of a midnight deal with the devil to make an impression on anybody. Today, he's trying to make deals with event promoters. While many young musicians strive for record deals, Zach Day has a business plan.
So I've been working really hard this year on booking, and it looks like I'm going to be able to make a full income next year of just playing music, which is great. The dream could go many ways. The way I'm really trying to approach it is building it as a business, where this year I might do 5 things in Michigan, 5 things in Ohio, 5 things in Illinois, and 5 things in Kentucky, and continue to expand it and get it to where is a regional thing now could be a national thing or an international thing with Europe tours and stuff in the future. I know a lot of musicians talk about the big discovery moment, and it's always a possibility, but I don't want to ever bank on that at all, because there's a lot of luck in that.
For this new graduate, one big break has already occurred, finding passion in stories of hardship, helping carry on a musical tradition, telling those stories in the voice of a new generation. A different road today, one that leads from Marion and the story of that city's progress and the energy behind companies that are thriving, the story of Indiana innovation in the face of economic hardship, a road that includes blues as a musical answer to tough times, and the intersection between those two ideas, a young blues musician, a musical innovator at a crossroads of his own, between the passion of his music and the practicality of his business. That's our show for today. Thanks for being part of it with us. Hope you'll join us next time as we find more stories off the beaten path from across the state on Indiana Weekend.
Funding for Indiana Weekend is provided by Fine Line Construction and Open Door Health Services.